Today I'm going to talk to you about UI, and I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about UI in libgdx. Now if you don't, that's fine, we'll talk about that another day. But today I've been working on Resizable UI, and I came across a little problem that I want to show you because it boggled my mind for a while. So here I have my UI stage and a table root element and then a dialog box that I created that I want to show. Alright, so I initialize my UI. Before we continue, maybe I should explain what is going on here. I wanted the UI to be independent in resolution of the rest of the game. So if I want the game at one resolution and the UI at a different resolution, I could do that. Games like Minecraft also do this because there are many different screen sizes out there and you never know what people want. Also, it's because when I implemented the Pokemon UI, I found that it was way too small on a computer screen, so I wanted to scale it, but I didn't want to scale it for everyone. Okay, so this stage up here has its own viewport, right? I gave it a viewport here. If I didn't do it, it was just going to create its own. So I gave it a screen viewport with a one-to-one mapping to pixels, so it has the exact same size as the screen. And then, because I wanted my UI to be a little bit bigger, I update the size here and divide the width and the height by a scale. So I wanted double the size, so my UI scale appears too. Okay, so now the UI stage's viewport should be half of my window in size. Okay, so far so good. Now, whenever I resize something, or whenever I resize the window rather, I update the batch here so my game doesn't screw up just because there's a resize. But also the stage's viewport is updated, and it is updated with the exact same values as we gave it down here in the initialization. So if we stretch the screen, the viewport should always be half the size or half the resolution, and then it would stretch. Great. Okay. So, I should show you the rendering too. Whenever we render, we update all our things. The UI stage has an act method, and then using my sprite batch, I draw the world, and then I draw the stage with the UI elements on top. Great, so let's see how this works. Yeah, this is weird because I only set the viewport for the stage here. So what's going on? How can it impact my sprite batch even? Well, it can, because viewports, when you use a viewport, and stage does this, it resizes the entire viewport in OpenGL. So on your GPU, it resizes the viewport of the window. Great. So now, if you use a stage, and the stage uses viewports, then you gotta combat this, because when the stage draws here, it says it sets its viewport, and there's no way to go back from that once that happens. It doesn't do it itself, that's for sure. So how do we fix this? Well, now we gotta maintain our own viewport as well. So I'm gonna add one here. Let's call it private. Let's call it game viewport. Great. So that's the viewport I want my game to use, or rather the world portion of my game. And when we initialize here, I am going to initialize the game viewport to a new screen viewport. Great. So this viewport maps one-to-one with pixel size, so that's the one I want, right? I want the amount of pixels that is also on the screen. Great. And now when I resize something, I need to resize this one as well. Game viewport, and we update it. There we go. And this should also be the same. Great. Now it's still not gonna work, because when I render something I need to specify now that I'm using that viewport. So I'm gonna go with the game viewport and then apply the viewport. So that changes how your graphics card draws everything on the screen. I don't have to do this for the UI stage because it does it itself. So I can just leave this, and I just have to know deep down that the UI stage has its own viewport, and it's gonna screw me over if I don't do something to combat it. Now let's see here. This is much better, and we have the dialog box, and that's beautiful. Now I can show you the reason why I wanted to resize the UI in the first place. That's because when I set this to 1, I get this weird box. Now this font is the correct size, and the shadow falls correctly, and it's pretty much pixel perfect to how the Game Boy version displays these. But they're so small, and there's no good way to scale it. Until now. Now I can just use this UI scale handle. That's great. Oh, maybe I should show what happens when you resize the window here. We can also have a look at how this resize, or how this layouts the UI. So you notice when I drag the window a little bit bigger, the UI just follows along nicely. Great. So this UI scale will be controlled by the user, and that's how you get resizable UIs that still lay out nicely and still follow all the rules without getting this weird viewport bug. I think that's really stupid, but here's how to get around it. Okay guys, thank you for watching my video.